we know the industry be playing these funny games with these artists, man. Terrance Howard finna break it down for us, bro. No ads, let's get into it.
Well, they're all so
ads,
tough
no
until you hear their
video.
real name.
Yeah, or until you see them at a puffy party.
Oh.
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised at the rap.
Y'all think Terrance Howard got his shit bust open? Because, you know, back then in his industry, them days, you couldn't get in just off of hard work and finessing your way and building your platform through social media and internet. Nigga, you have to go through them gatekeepers back then. Nigga, you got your shit bust open.
Alive. After, because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray, you know.
I fuck with Terrance though.
On me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire.
You heard
about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something.
In 19.
Because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, you know, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at it. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. I'm sitting there, just looking at it, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what?
For what?
Like, I think he's trying to you.
Wow.
The music industry has the power to build stars overnight, but it also has the power to destroy them just as quickly. And when someone gets erased from the spotlight, it often happens quietly, without explanation. That's exactly what happened to Petey Pablo. Once a Southern rap icon, Petey exploded onto the scene in the early 2000s with chart-topping hits and a signature sound that had the whole country spinning their shirts like helicopters. But as fast as he rose, he vanished. And now, actor Terrance Howard is pulling back the curtain, suggesting that Petey's fall wasn't a coincidence.
Wasn't organic.
According to him, Petey Pablo didn't just fade into obscurity. He was systematically broken and blackballed by a powerful industry that demands silence and submission. What happened to Petey Pablo might be more than just a career slump. It could be a cautionary tale about what happens when you refuse to play by the industry's rules.
For 1 year, I was being locked up for 6 years. I was a millionaire. And that was the craziest thing in the world. Like, I sat on the corner. The day we signed the deal, me and my partner Fab, we bought, I remember we had like $7 and like some, like almost $8. And we bought us 240s, an old English 800.
2 racks.
2 egg rolls from a little Chinese spot, and it was raining. And we sat outside and we cried like motherfuckers, like babies, bro. I done it. You know, like it was hard at times. Again, I wanted to quit. You know, I mean, I was already 20-something years old and I'm sleeping on somebody's couch. You know, I'm staying in New York. You know, I'm the only thing, because I've never been a slouch. So the only thing that I know that I can do for the people that I'm staying with is make sure that they house clean and make sure that they dishes washed. And, you know, I mean, make sure if they needed something from the store, I would run to the store for them. But I was that dude before I went to prison. You know what I mean? I was that, you know, my money was straight. You know what I mean? I was the big dog before I went. And so here I am now washing people's dishes and, you know, sweeping their house up. And it was hard for a dude that was on a certain level in life, you know, as a street guy, to have to humble himself to just survive. You know what I mean? Because I refused. I mean, sure, I had people in New York that wanted to hand me something. Hey, man, come on, man. We know who you are. Hey, man, we know your brother. We know that. Hey, man, we remember you from back. Hey, man, here, take this and get your stuff. I'm not doing that. Because if I do something wrong, then all of this would have been for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I came home from doing 6 years and left everything and everyone that I knew and I loved to go to a place in pursuit of my dream. I was determined to make this dream happen. and I can't get up here and do something
Roll
stupid
up, man.
and mess around and get myself caught up in something. I'm already in New York, and you know anything can happen in New York. You know what I mean? A lot of people went up there and they never come back.
Petey
Pablo. Petey Pablo is about to sign with Death Row. You feel me? That in the booth, and he said something. He said put Suge's name in it, and Suge just walked through the door. It's like 30 his Bloods and Crips. You could tell was hating, and the tension was in that. I ain't with none of that Blood Crip, but I say Blood and Cuz in the same sentence, nigga. I'm a real nigga. I'm an East Oakland nigga, so I can do that.
I'm about to say that nigga for sure from Oakland,
so
bro.
The whole point is, you know, I ain't gonna disrespect you. If you're a Crip, I ain't gonna keep blooding you. If you're a Blood, I ain't gonna cut you. That just ain't how I get out. You know, I'm gonna do
but we used to say blood all the time growing up, but I don't even say that shit no more.
My real though, you feel me? Most of them, that was real hitters. You feel me?
It's a nigga in Oakland ain't Lil Blood. He ain't even no blood.
Name,
that's what we be saying.
Suge name in the song. And hey, cut the music. That went into the booth and closed the curtain. Right? We're like, what the going on? About 3 minutes later, the curtain over. Session over. What the you mean session over? We just got here. Session was over. I don't know what that said to that, but I guess he didn't want that to say his name in the song. Period. Cut that whole session over. I ain't heard from Petey Pablo since.
Petey Pablo didn't exactly have a smooth entry into the world of music. After spending time in prison on robbery charges in the early 1990s, he redirected his energy and channeled it into his passion, music. He eventually crossed paths with Timbaland, one of the most influential producers of that era, and together, they created what would become Petey's breakout hit. In 2001, Raise Up dropped, produced by Timbaland, and it wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. The song became an anthem for the South, and the lyrics, North Carolina, come on and raise up, turned into a chant at concerts, parties, and sports arenas. The song peaked at number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped Petey's debut album, Diary of a Sinner, first entry, earn a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album in 2003. That album went gold, proving that Petey wasn't a one-hit wonder.
Today, when you say North Carolina, everybody want to raise up.
Hey, one hit wonder, that's all you need.
It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I'm still humbled because I'm such a hometown country boy that I don't feel, there's nothing bigger than the group, and Carolina is the group. So I don't feel like what everybody looks at me as, but it's just an amazing feeling.
Did you ever imagine it would be as big as it's gotten?
Never. All I wanted, and I was just inducted into the Carolina Music Hall of Fame.
Now, bro.
So in my speech, I said, the only thing I wanted was for a state that never had the recognition to be recognized. Because my label was like, Petey, we can't put this song out because don't nobody know what North Carolina is. And I'm like, well, this is all I'm giving you right now. So you got to work with what you got. So they was like, well, at least go back and put all the cities' names in there. So I'm like, okay, but this one was the one.
2 years later, in 2004, Petey dropped his sophomore album, Still Writing in My Diary, second entry, which featured his biggest hit to date, Freak a Leak. The track became a staple in clubs and on radio stations, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going platinum in the ringtone era, when digital sales were exploding. Petey Pablo was everywhere. BET, MTV,
bruh, you know what I'm thinking about,
shows,
bro? All these niggas, all them clubs, like, you know how many fucking people was making club? I mean, yeah, you got some that's gonna remember the bangers, and you got, like, the distinct ones, like some of them Timbaland songs and shit like that with the crazy production, but do you know how many of them niggas got forgotten? They had millions of views, nigga. And back then, the TV was pushing them, so if you get pushed on TV, everybody seeing that shit, so there's so many artists, like, it's an artist name, what's his name, Cannabis? Most folks know Cannabis. I don't know who the fuck that is. Like, I just seen him the one time he was on ODB. He was with ODB and shit, right? But and he wasn't trying to really defend ODB on that stage. But folks be knowing like who these artists is, like, or like just a lot of artists from early 2000s they're forgotten about. So a lot of these niggas that be on TikTok and they rapping, they catching they wave and shit, they gonna be forgotten with the wind, nigga. That's why I'm standing on business as far as like speaking what I speak on when I rap, bro, because nigga, I want folks to go back and be like, damn, this nigga was on that shit. even though they can go back and pull up a Young Pharaoh or something, or pull up a Killer Army, and Killer Army was fucking on some woke YN shit for real. Before me, niggas be like, oh yeah, you rap this like a woke TJX6 or a woke Laser Dim, this or that. I'm like, you niggas ball knowledge is low, cause nigga, my shit's really straight Killer Army. And mind you, I fuck with Laser Dim and TJ, but they lyric substance ain't there. I got the TJ flow, I got the Cash or Quan flow and shit, but nigga, we coming with the knowledge, intellect, and we catching a good
collaborations with artists like Ciara and Lil Jon. For a moment, it felt like he was poised to be one of the defining voices of Southern hip hop, but that moment was short-lived.
And our own, that's the young people. That is gonna come up. I bought Petey Pablo's Diary of a Sinner. Petey Pablo, I love him. My kids, Dad, who is this country dude? He's a rapper. North Carolina, razor, put your shirt on, twist it around your head like a helicopter. That's my cut, man. I actually took my shirt off. I've been caught up in this off. Then he got Diary of a Sinner. I love the song about
damn, that's a real industry push. They talking about this thing on Family Feud.
Dead broke. I had scraping up change in the ashtray, 2 cigarettes. He didn't know how he was gonna make it. That song, I listen to that to this day, before I go to work, cause it reminds me. Cause it ain't always been this way. You know, you can't get this life. First of all, it's a blessing. This is grace and favor. You know, this ain't your life ain't really supposed to be like this. I ain't really done nothing to deserve this. This is grace. This God just gave me a lot of grace, man. I really, on the real. You
done gave up a lot of cheeks. You position yourself. You done gave a lot of boule. You done got paddled. You done got smacked in that fraternity. Nigga, you done did a lot of shit. You know, we know about
for real, I take no credit for where I am today.
Nigga.
You know, I work hard. I'm funny, but this life I got, this crazy.
Despite having 2 successful albums and a solid fan base, Petey Pablo's career took a strange turn. After 2004, his visibility dropped off sharply. He wasn't putting out new music, wasn't getting featured on tracks, and was noticeably absent from festivals and award shows. While artists like T.I., Young Jeezy, and Ludacris continued to ride the Southern rap wave, Petey seemed to disappear. And that disappearance raised eyebrows. Why would an artist with back-to-back hits suddenly go silent?
That's crazy.
According to Terrance Howard, it wasn't because Petey lacked talent or made poor business decisions. It was because he refused to conform.
That's crazy, bro.
They accused him of fondling or touching someone at a bar.
Oh, yeah.
At a bar, and then they accused him of touching some dude.
It sounded like he...
Thing. I'm like, dude, I mean, that's not Cuba. He wouldn't, I can't imagine Cuba touching some man. No.
A man?
A man, yeah.
What is it, what is it with all the man-on-man action that I'm learning about? I mean, like with the puffy parties. Like, the last thing I ever thought that went on there was gay stuff. Not that gay stuff was wrong, it's wonderful. I just did not think that's what Puffy was doing.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it either.
Nobody did.
Even when my assistant said that stuff, I still was like joking it off. And it wasn't until later on that I heard other things from people that worked from him. You know, you remember that back in the times of slavery, they had a thing called breaking the buck, where they would take, not to go in a bad place, but this is how I see what's happening, the parallels with what's happening correlates what's happening in the business. If they, back in the times of slavery, if they had like some 12-year-old slave that was just full of himself and confident,
a lot of energy,
and, wasn't listening, they would tie him to a log or a barrel, and a bunch of the overseers would him, to where when he walked around with the slaves now, he didn't have the confidence.
He's broken.
Sure.
He was broken, and it was called breaking the buck.
Wow.
And that's still taking place. And so to hear that people in the industry are still making young rappers who have fought the worst of circumstances, being disenfranchised, being discounted, and then they finally I'm gonna put it into music. I'm gonna do it in the music, and I'm and get myself together, and they go and see someone and they tell them, okay, yeah, you can have a deal, perform on me and you get your deal.
Wow.
That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business.
Do that be making y'all, hey, listen, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Do that be making y'all think of the artist differently when y'all hear about this industry shit going on? Or is it just like, oh, well, that's normal. Still gonna listen to him. Oh, Drake's still the best. Like think about all the allegations Drake was fighting, and niggas just like kind of like, that's like, oh, well. No, ain't no oh, well, man. Look into shit.
No radio station would play his stuff.
Even Kendrick,
so
all these niggas, they all bots,
he's not
bro.
around anymore. But that song, Ho It's On, they did not care, and they went all in on it.
Terrance Howard has spoken openly about what he believes goes on behind closed
song by Mos Def called To The Grape Is Over
doors in the entertainment industry. He hinted that artists who resist certain behind-the-scenes pressures, whether that means compromising their integrity, attending elite parties, or remaining silent about questionable activities, often find themselves shut out. And he says that's exactly what happened to Petey Pablo. Petey reportedly questioned the system, challenged the people in charge, and refused to be a pawn. And for that, the industry turned its back on him. He went from mainstream darling to persona non grata in record time. Terrance Howard's personal story with Petey Pablo sheds even more light on the rapper's character. Back in 2005, Howard was at an event in Los Angeles and found himself in a jam. He'd forgotten his wallet and couldn't pay. Petey Pablo, without hesitation, handed him $200. It was a simple act of kindness, but Howard never forgot it. Fast forward to 2015, and Howard was starring in Empire, the #1 show on television at the time. When producers needed an actor to play an inmate in one of the show's prison storylines, Howard remembered Petey Pablo.
So the whole Terrance story, that was a whole story within
crazy.
itself. Anyway, because the reason that I got that role on Empire was, like Cherry said, I'm just that guy. I just so happened to run into Terrance Howard in the Four Seasons Hotel, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? That's Terrance just Hustle and Flow. Oh man, what's up? He's like, man, I listen to all your stuff. He was like, even when I was on Hustle and Flow, he was like, I listen to your music. He said I was trying to act like Petey Pablo, and that's crazy to me. And
that's insane, bro.
So I said, hey man, we all going out. What's up? You want to come out? And he was like, nah, man, I'm going through a little something right now, man. I lost my wallet, lost my credit cards and everything, so I'm just going up to my room, man. And so I was like, damn, you lost. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out $200.
Gave him 200.
He was like, yeah. He was like, I was like, no, man, you just don't be walking around with nothing in your pocket. Like, yeah. Right. And I gave him the money and I walked off. So fast forward, 13 years later, I get a phone call.
13 years later.
And
talk about a seed planet.
This was a couple years ago. He was like, is this Petey? I was like, yeah. He was like, first of all, I need you to see. He's like, this is Terrance Howard. I was like, damn, what's up, bro? I ain't heard from you in years.
Yeah, right.
Last time, he was like, yeah, last time I seen you, something happened between us. And I need you to send me your address because I owe you some money. And I was like, nah, bro, you don't owe me no money. He was like, bro, send me your address. I'm gonna hang the phone up and and you'll never hear from me again. So I'm like, okay. Right. So I give him my phone, my address. 2 days later, I get a check for $15,000.
Damn, what a great investment.
That bitch an accumulated interest. Damn. Hey, if this is a sign for y'all to go buy stock right now, go buy stock, go put $200 into something, and then wait 15 years, that bitch might be 15 bands, nigga. Shit, that's a good 15. I don't give a fuck how long it take.
Crazy,
that's 15 bands, nigga.
Crazy. So I called him back and I was like, bro, he was like, listen, you do not realize that at that time, I didn't lose my wallet.
He was like, broke.
I just said that because I was so embarrassed that I was going through what I was going through in life. And he was like, effortlessly, you just reached in your pocket and handed me money and didn't really even know me. You knew me from watching me on TV.
A movie, yeah.
You know, we had never had a conversation or anything, and he was like, and people that I'd known for years had denied me at that point in time in his life. And he was like, and he was really in a bad place.
Dark place.
He was like, for me to reach in my pocket and effortlessly just do an act of kindness that way, he was like, it changed his thought about life. And I was like, man, that's really crazy. Deep. He was like, now we got that out of the way. Now I need you to help me on this Empire situation.
And Peter, what's next for you? We saw you on the set of Empire. Saw you doing your thing on Empire.
So you going back to the business too. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I'm still writing music for the show, and Terrance is my brother. You know, and that's another thing. Again, I don't want to speak too much about it because, you know, when I get uneasy feelings about certain situations, you know, sometimes my mouth will put me in situations where I'll be walking around looking like I have lost everything in the world. Like, what did I just say? I did not just say that publicly, but I will, you know, and really don't mind it. But I mean, I understand that there are dire consequences behind some of the things that I say. But Terrance Howard is my brother, and there's nothing that man cannot ask me to do besides some of that stuff they do.
You can't help yourself, nigga. Gotta speak on the truth. That's what's up, bro.
No, but that's my brother, man. And you know, whatever I can do to help him and the show, man, I mean, I'm always there, and you know.
That connection landed Pablo a small role on Empire, where he played an inmate alongside Howard's character, Lucius Lyon. Not only that, but Pablo also wrote the track, Snitch, which was featured in the show. The song brought him $15,000 in revenue and gave him a brief return to the spotlight. But it wasn't a full-blown comeback. It was a thank you from Howard, a nod to someone who had shown him loyalty and integrity.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately,
a crazy story.
even with the exposure from Empire, the industry still had no interest in reviving Pablo's career. His name was still absent from radio, major labels, and tour lineups. In 2010, Petey Pablo made headlines for all the wrong reasons. He was arrested at Raleigh-Durham International Airport for attempting to bring a stolen, loaded Smith & Wesson pistol onto a flight. He was charged with possession of a stolen firearm and sentenced to nearly 3 years in federal prison. On the surface, it seemed like another artist sabotaging his own career. But when you look at the bigger picture, things don't add up. Other rappers, T.I., Lil Wayne, Meek Mill, have all served time and returned to massive support from labels and fans. Their prison stints became part of their narrative, part of their redemption arc.
Part of their ritual.
Pablo, let me just say something right quick. Hip-hop, anybody who got a respect for hip-hop, you listen to your right now. Suge, y'all gotta respect what Suge them did for the game, okay? Regardless of the negativity that the media has portrayed, that man is hip-hop history. You understand what I'm saying?
You talking about the media as a bitch.
That man is hip-hop history. When was on and cracking and that man was in the media without negativity, y'all was all on his Then as soon as the white man or whoever come in and try to say what the man did wrong, who he was involved with, I want to let him go. Stop doing that to people in the industry. Judge them off your own merit. Don't let no other rapper say something about one rapper and you take from that one. You understand what I'm saying? Stick with it. Be a true fan. Don't be no whole fan. You know what I'm saying? If you dedicated, be dedicated and us. If not, we don't need
the 2000s was crazy, bro. She sound like a nigga. She know she hang around niggas all day, boy. God damn.
Rather than a temporary setback. Why? Because, unlike the others, Petey no longer had institutional backing. He wasn't protected by powerful labels or influential managers. He had already been blackballed before the arrest, and the charges just gave the industry an excuse to keep him out permanently.
Just imagine, I'm watching Petey Pablo in his car.
That controls access, silences dissent, and rewards compliance. Howard believes there's a cult-like energy in the entertainment business, where success often comes at the cost of integrity. He's described situations where actors and musicians are pressured to compromise themselves in exchange for roles, record deals, or public favor. Petey Pablo isn't the only artist whose rise was cut short under suspicious circumstances. In fact, when you start looking closely at the careers of young rappers who were once tied to industry giants like Diddy, Jay-Z, and even Birdman, a disturbing pattern starts to emerge. These artists came in with raw talent, charisma, and in many cases, major cosigns from the most powerful names in the game. But somewhere along the way, their momentum vanished, and many of them were never heard from again.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. In 30 years, I've done nothing but collect
evidence,
information, knowledge, and your secrets.
Go back and watch the Math Hoffa interview. I kind of like broke it down, and Math was trying to get me to say the names and like really say names. I'm like, I ain't gotta do that because I don't want to f brothers' lives up like that.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: the music business is ran by the devil. So the music business is only designed to get as many people to go away from God lost as possible. So what happens is the devil needs workers, and by workers, he needs people who have influence, who can mislead or misguide people away from the light into the darkness.
That's why motherfuckers just be like, Lululemon. They don't understand they getting like control, bro. Then when you got the motherfucker, you gonna put it on a butt. When you got the one in the front, they gonna say whatever and yap for whatever, and they gonna blow them up. They gonna get paid, so they feel like they doing something. I'm a content creator, I'm an influencer. Yeah, but what are you influencing? Look deep behind. That's why I be saying like agendas and shit like that. Sometimes it's not even that the rapper or that person or the artist pushing agendas, it's just that they so mentally weak that they're pushing some shit and not knowing that they're pushing some shit, but they just think it's normal. It's like, for example, when you see Aiden Ross, he the representation of a bunch of Twitch kids, a bunch of like little niggas in the chat trolls. He's like a manifestation of that has money and shit. You see what I'm saying? Kai Cenat is a manifestation of all the kids who wanted to watch YouTube and be a vlogger and streamer. Lil Wayne, or you know what I'm trying to say, like King Von, a manifestation of all the YNs if they was to get some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to make an example.
So I was that kid out there, and they were great friends. They embraced me, man. And my whole crowd was always black. I never thought I'd ever play for white people until my music went #1. And when it went #1, all of a sudden my crowds I went from smaller crowds to huge stadiums. In rap music, it just hadn't been done like that before. So for me, I was just like, whoa.
Take Shine, for example, a young rapper from Belize who was being groomed as the next big star under Diddy's Bad Boy Records in the late 90s. He had the voice, the street credibility, and a debut album that went platinum. But everything came crashing down in 1999. When he took the fall for a nightclub shooting involving Diddy and Jennifer Lopez.
In the face.
Shine ended up serving nearly 10 years in prison, while Diddy walked away unscathed. By the time Shine got out, the industry had moved on, and Diddy never truly helped revive his career. Some believe Shine's silence in court was bought, while others think he was sacrificed to protect bigger players.
When we were on our way to court, I knew that they were setting Shine up to take the fall. When Shine decided to get his own lawyers, I knew that they was gonna set Shine up to take the fall. These guys in the industry wanna act like that they didn't know that Puff helped send Shine to jail.
Then there's G-Dap, another bad boy artist with a promising future. In the early 2000s, he dropped Special Delivery, which became a street anthem. But behind the scenes, he was struggling with guilt. In 2010, he walked into a police station and confessed to a cold case he had committed years earlier. That confession landed him 15 years to life. Diddy had little to say about it. Many questioned why so many artists tied to Bad Boy seem to suffer tragic or bizarre fates. Why would you admit to your
body, bro, and go and sit in jail for it? You already gonna have to deal with it if you out or if you booked.
Diddy continued to thrive.
Right, so pretty much the whole time you was in prison, he didn't reach out to you?
Yeah.
Well, man, he out now. He look like he didn't.
Shout out to him too, man.
Yeah, I mean, he going through a lot right now. How you feel about everything Diddy going through right now? Like his houses getting ready for trafficking. How you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I feel like, whatever's going on, he's gonna handle it. However, whatever happens, whatever transpires, you know what I mean? I mean, like I said, man, I don't know what happened. I don't even know what's going on. You know where I was at.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I hope the brother get around it, man. You know what I mean? Whatever's going on.
You know, the easy person to blame is Diddy because everybody blame him for stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's dope, man. For you to be like, yo, I did this or I did that, you know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it's real, man. I mean, you know, you can't run around. I don't know, man. I don't really subscribe to that though. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You gotta look at what's really going on. You know, a lot of times, you know, I don't know if that's something that I developed. And you know, I don't.
And the reason why these videos be important too, I'm not gonna watch the whole video, but it shows and expose how if this shit was going on before the internet and behind the scenes, behind closed doors, they just adjusted, bro. This shit hasn't gone nowhere. They just literally adjusted. So you gotta recognize and realize that the industry is adapting to the new internet. So I'm gonna be showing shit from the old industry, reacting to that shit, and react to the new things at the same time. Y'all gonna always come out here on my channel and be able to pull the veil down over here. We destroy the veil.